Hi, welcome to Learning Monkey. I am Vikram. In this class, we'll try to understand key constraint and null value constraint. So the concept of domain constraint has already been discussed in our previous video. If you haven't watched that video, please watch that video and come back here. And every video in our channel is going to be a part of an entire course or a playlist. Our suggestion is to follow the entire course so that you can have better understanding of the concepts. And the link for the playlist is provided in the description below. Now, we have already discussed about this concept of key constraint and null value constraint in the form of key constraint in the form of key attribute and primary key. So there we have discussed on a lighter way. So in this class we'll try to have a deeper understanding of key constraint and the null value constraint, which we have already discussed in the creation of a table as not null. So the attribute a column's attributes, in the sense the properties, a column's properties, one of the properties is not null property. So let's try to understand those concepts in deeper way. Key constraint, so it is also a primary key constraint. A key constraint, a relation is defined as, so why we got this key constraint. So in our previous classes we have discussed that every entity has to be uniquely identified. Every entity, so entity 1, entity 2, entity 3, so every entity in a relation should be uniquely identified. Okay, so with that property we have identified one of the attribute as key attribute. It is also called as primary key. So if you take SSN, this SSN, social security number of every person, is going to be unique. With that social security number we can uniquely identify every entity. Okay, but why we have to take that every relation should have a key attribute? Why we have considered that? It comes from the definition of set. So let's try to understand the definition of a relation. A relation in the sense of this relation. A relation is defined as a set of tuples. This set of tuples is what we call it as a relation, which this definition we have already discussed. So the definition of set, here set of tuples, the definition of set, if you if you remember the definition of set in our primary schooling, states that all the elements in the set are distinct. So in a set, for example, if you take a set of numbers, a simple set of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, set of first 5 integers. The first 5 integers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you consider again 5, this is not valid. The definition of the set itself states that all the elements should be distinct. So this definition, try to remember that. So based upon that definition, so what we have understood is every relation is defined as a set of tuples. So these are all the values of the set. So every value should be uniquely identified. So because of the definition, we have to identify every value uniquely. So in order to identify every value, every tuple uniquely, we have identified an attribute where no two values in that attribute are going to be same. We have to identify. So how to identify? So among all these attributes, how we have identified that SSN is going to be the primary key? For that there are different methods. So we will try to understand those concepts in our later videos. But the constraint that has been obtained is key constraint states that every tuple in a table, every row in a table should be uniquely identified, should be unique. That identification is obtained by a column or a set of columns. Using set of columns also we can get that primary key constraint. So that constraint should be there. So why we have to identify this primary key is, whenever we are trying to select the details of an employee, we need a column by which we can identify each and every entity uniquely. So don't go deeper into these concepts. Whenever we are doing our SQL commands, there we will try to understand. So as of now, just try to remember that every tuple should be unique. Okay, based upon that we have created this primary key constraint. Next one is null value constraint. Null value constraint on the attribute specifies whether null values are or not allowed. Null values are permitted or not. So for example, if you take name of an attribute, name of an table, name column of a table, so can there be an employee without name? It is not possible. So it means that there should be some attributes. The not null constraint states that it has to be applied on the attributes or columns of the table where it is not permitted for those values to be null. Name of an employee, there should not be an employee without a name. There should not be an employee without SSN. And whenever we declare a column as a primary key, it is automatically represents that it is not null. Null values are not allowed for primary key because there will not be any identification of that particular person. Are you able to get that point? So based upon that, so if you if the company says that sex can be null, so that can be avoided. Salary can be null, that can be avoided. So it is our duty to identify whether this particular attribute or column of the table should be not null or null. Okay, so these are the constraints, key constraints and null value constraints. Hope you got the clarity on this concept. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and press bell icon for the latest updates. And if you have any doubts regarding this concept, please post your doubt in the comment section below. And if you feel that this video is helpful to you, please give us a like symbol and please share this video with your friends so that they will also get benefited. Thanks for watching.